Welcome everyone to episode 41 of the Circle Back podcast, the show where two great friends get together and talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Super excited, Dan Dufrenoy.
Yes. You remember low energy Dan from last week?
Last week I was very sick and I worked a 13-hour day. Today I also worked a 13-hour day, but I'm not sick, so it's okay. I'm very excited for this.
All right, Dan. We are going to kick it off. High energy.
Let's put our arms back and just relax.
Going to kick it off like you know I enjoyed to do. Like I enjoy to do. I enjoy doing. We've both been playing a game that we seem to be enjoying very much.
I enjoy a lot of games.
Okay. Which one have you been enjoying lately?
Especially this one.
Okay. What's it called?
I've been playing The Messenger. And it was thanks to Dan who recommended it.
I love when I get the credit. It's amazing.
I want to give you the credit because I wouldn't have known about it without you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man, I love it.
Yeah. So I talked about The Messenger a little bit on the last episode 2 weeks ago. I want to hear your initial impressions, and I want to hear what you think about it.
So first playing it, well, I really like Ninja Gaiden. That's one of my favorite games ever, especially one of my favorite NES games. So when I was teased with a game that promised me the same sort of thing but unique and different, I was like, oh man, I'm totally in. I kind of fell for the nostalgia, but having played it, I realized how unique and how different it is, and how much it is. It's so funny because in the first 5 seconds of the game, I don't think this is a spoiler, but there's the shopkeeper, and the first thing he says is oh yeah, you learned how to do all these moves from this guy named John Gaiden, and you're like, oh, that's a Ninja Gaiden reference. And he's like, yeah, that's just a lame reference that I had to throw out in the first 5 seconds. And it's true because at first you're just oh, okay, cool, it's a Ninja Gaiden game and stuff like that. But playing it and going through it, it's unique enough and it separates itself enough as its own entity and its own game. And there's enough mechanics where it's just a really, really good action platformer. And I'm really
cool.
Enjoying it. Yeah.
So the thing I want to say is I'm a little bit further than Dan. The game right after where you are, actually.
I know.
The game takes a turn, and I don't want to give away what it is because I actually didn't know what it was going in. Even though...
when it happened?
No, it's a mechanic in the game, and it totally changes the game. And they showed it off in promotional materials. I just happened to go in blind, and so did you. So rather than ruin it, not only for you, but for anybody watching, it's a really neat thing, and it's a pretty unique thing that I haven't really seen before in these kind of games. So we'll probably spoil it and talk about it next episode when you are past that point. But the thing that I mainly want to say about the game is it is just so impeccably playing, you know what I mean? The gameplay is so good and so tight. Some of the platforming and stuff like that. I really love this game. I think the music is
I seriously think this is one of the best games of the year.
It's very good. And I am excited to talk about the turn that the game takes because...
You said I'm right at it too. I'm just right at the cusp.
He's super close. He's literally at the boss before the twist. And I am not going to go any further and talk about it. Going into this episode, I thought he might have been past it. I hadn't touched base with you about where you were. So I was excited to talk about the twist. No, you did not disappoint me, Dan. But so I don't have much more to add without ruining that. So I'll leave it at that. I'll say I think the boss design is excellent.
Not only that, it's just all unique. I'm sorry, I'm just going to...
It's super... No, go ahead.
You off.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So, no, I totally agree.
That's not what you were going to say.
No, I was going to say,
you were going to say it's super unique. You were about to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, the dialogue, each boss, it's I don't know, they're unique enough and, they each have, their own, turn of phrase and their own inflections.
They're such characters.
Every character has their own sort of personality, and I think it really just makes it, not only a great game, but just super charming and endearing.
Yes, it is super charming. The one thing I will say is the way the shopkeeper breaks the fourth wall, you've seen, I'm sure, and just some of the... I
love the stories he tells.
You listen to all the stories that he tells.
I love those stories.
So they're cool, but I think sometimes it rides the line of, try-hardy humor, you know what I mean? Where it seems like they're this
I don't
is
know,
funny.
I like those.
I like it too, I'm just saying... obvious that like they're saying what would be really funny to write, rather than like, it's like they really tried to make it funny.
I don't know,
but a lot of it's really good. Again, I'm a little further than you, so maybe that's a part of it. But I'm not opposed to, I like Deadpool. Like it's not like I don't like that kind of humor.
Right.
It's just some of it's really, really good. Where you're like, oh man, that was pretty good. But like you said, the John Guyton thing, I was kind of like I get what you're saying, but like, come on, Overall, really, really enjoy this game. And I'm excited to talk about it on the next episode a little more.
Yeah, seriously, I'm loving it.
Cool.
I'm glad I picked up.
Yeah. I know you've also been playing. This inspired you to play some older games.
Yeah, you want to just go through them?
Yeah,
I don't have much to say other than, but I don't know,
yeah.
just playing that old, 8-bit games again just kind of brought me back to my old 8-bit love. So I played Ninja Gaiden again. Love that game. I tried to actually beat it. I still can't beat it. It's really hard.
Nobody can beat it.
That's the thing. The Messenger's a lot easier than Ninja Gaiden. There's just something.
It's much easier.
Like Ninja Gaiden is just so hard. I started from the beginning and I got up to like the last state. There's 6 areas.
Yeah.
I got to the last part of stage 5, and I just can't get past it. I've never even fought the boss in that game, and I hear the boss is even like the hardest.
Yeah.
It's just brutal, but it's so good. I love that game.
It's a great game. I would actually love to go back to that game. Actually.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can get it on the. Nintendo should sponsor me because I always talk about the Nintendo eShop and stuff like that. You can get it. Oh, for the Wii U.
Wii U, yeah.
I don't know if you can get it for Switch yet.
No.
So I played Double Dragon. I don't know because I have it downloaded, and I was just like, oh, another 8-bit kind of beat 'em up sort of thing. Shovel Knight, I played. Again, I love that game. I've played that game quite
What do you
a few
think about my
times.
comparison to Shovel Knight with the Messenger?
Agreed. Shovel Knight stands on its own as a great.
But it's such an homage in
game.
a similar way to the Messenger, but it's unique enough in its style.
Right.
You
What
know?
I love about Shovel Knight, and I think I love Shovel Knight even more, it's kind of like you see Ready Player One?
I haven't seen it.
I didn't love that. I didn't think it was a great movie.
I read the book and I don't like the book at all.
Okay.
So
But the reason why I didn't love it, and I didn't really even like it. I thought if all the cool nostalgia tropes were out of it, I'd be like, I just liked it because of all the nostalgia stuff. I think Shovel Knight was great because it would be great standalone. I loved all the nostalgia stuff that they threw in it too. So you have Spectre Knight, who's totally Death from Castlevania.
Obviously, Castlevania.
When you do the Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales, shovel down, jump, cane hop to Mega Man. I think they took all these cool tropes, not even tropes, just all these nostalgia throwbacks, but yet made something unique enough that was just great on its own. Same thing with the Messenger. And though you did say this about Circle of the Moon, I don't know if I agree 100%. I think Circle of the Moon was a great game, but I understand what you were saying, where it's a great Castlevania game. It's not a great...
Because I do think there's a difference.
It doesn't do anything new.
Yeah, and for me, it's not even that. It's more about the actual game itself. This is a complete package. If Ninja Gaiden never came out, this would still be a great game. Now, it wouldn't be the same great because it wouldn't be hearkening back to the thing that we love. Whereas if Circle of the Moon came out, I think it would still be a fine game, but it wouldn't be. We like it so much because it is Castlevania.
That's fair.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But I do think that Shovel Knight, not comparing the two, I haven't beaten the Messenger. I don't know how it goes. You haven't even seen the main twist in it. So it's I'm not comparing Shovel Knight to the Messenger, but I'm trying to put them next to each other. But what I am doing is saying, I think they're equal in their style of, hey, we're aping a lot of stuff from the past, but we're doing interesting things with it. Kind of making it its own.
Yeah. So Shovel Knight was great.
Yeah.
And I played some Kid Icarus as well.
Yeah. Kid Icarus is one of the few old NES games that I just can't get behind.
It's not a good game,
It's
but
not good.
But
people have a lot of nostalgia for that game, and I don't really get it.
It's really not a good game. I was reading up on it. It took the same engine as Metroid, and obviously Metroid was just a much better game.
Much better.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't really know.
Kid Icarus is weird, man. Isn't there a credit card and
It's not even that it's weird. It's just not.
It's weird and bad.
Yeah, because you just go and you just jump and you shoot. But then I don't even know the premise of the game. There's 4 worlds.
Yeah.
At one point, I was playing the game and I was it just becomes mindless, where you just
It's yeah.
But anyway, I
Not
played
a
it.
huge fan. I understand.
The music's pretty good though.
The music's actually really good.
But that was it. Yeah, so I just kind of worked back to
Played some old games.
old times.
Nice. I played a few games. A couple of them are older. Actually, all three of these games that I played are from years prior.
Okay.
The recent past. I've been playing a lot of a game called Shadowrun Dragonfall.
Why does that sound familiar?
So Shadowrun is an old tabletop game series, and it's kind of cyberpunk meets mysticism kind of thing. But the reason that Shadowrun is known in video games is because there was a Super Nintendo game and a Genesis. I think it came out on Genesis too, called Shadowrun, and it was a turn-based, similar to a Fire Emblem type thing with an interesting story.
Okay.
So that game was popular for the Super Nintendo. Not really, I wouldn't say popular. It's kind of like a cult classic for the Super Nintendo. Then in, I think 2014. Oh no, sorry, before that. 2004, I think, a game came out called Shadowrun Returns.
Okay.
It was probably later. I'm going to say 06. Why don't we look it up? Game called Shadowrun Returns.
It sounds very familiar, this game.
Shadowrun
Returns.
Let's see where that is.
So
let's see if this is the game I'm talking about. No. Okay. This is the newer one. Shadowrun for Xbox 360. Let's try that. Maybe it was just called Shadowrun. Yeah, it was. Okay, so in 2007, a game came out called Shadowrun.
Okay.
Now, what it did was it took the world of Shadowrun, which, again, is this beloved tabletop world that only had one video game entry, which was Shadowrun in 1994 or whatever.
Okay.
This game is a first-person shooter, like a multiplayer arena shooter.
In the world, in the environment.
Yes. So people that loved Shadowrun didn't like this game because they're like, why is this a shooter? Like, that's not what this series or this entire universe is about. Like, why are we making a first-person shooter, like a competitive shooter, like a Halo-style shooter?
Okay.
It was a very weird game. And then, so what happened was, no other games came out after that. It was a failure. It didn't sell very well. It didn't get good reviews critically. And then Shadowrun Returns came out.
Is this one that you played?
On PC. So no, I have not played Shadowrun Returns. But Shadowrun Returns came out in 2013.
Okay.
And it came out from Harebrained Schemes, which the whole reason I'm playing this game is, number one, I was obsessed with BattleTech this year. It's one of my favorite games of the year. Harebrained Schemes made that game.
Okay.
So it interested me to say, let me go back and play some of their best games. Also, Waypoint, video game website that I enjoy quite a lot, did a Shadowrun Dragonfall 101, where they went back and revisited it and had new opinions about how Dragonfall was. So Shadowrun Returns comes out in 2013, and it is more like the SNES game. It's a turn-based tactical game, but the whole shtick of the game is it wants to be a story-based game with this tactical gameplay, right? So it's really focusing on interesting stories, cool party members. It's almost like a Fire Emblem with the level of Mass Effect, storytelling, right? In the Shadowrun universe. This is Shadowrun Returns. This is what they came out with.
Okay.
So I read up on it a little bit. I read up because what happened was a year later, Shadowrun Dragonfall came out, which is the one that I'm playing. And then Shadowrun Hong Kong came out. So I looked up and I said, which one should I be playing? Should I go to Returns because the first one of this new series by Harebrained, what should I do? Yada yada. Everyone basically said they improved so much on the formula in Dragonfall, which came out directly after.
And that's still the tabletop, it's not the shooter.
Well, yeah, it's a direct sequel to Shadowrun Returns.
Okay.
So it's the newer style, back to the tactics. It's not tabletop. It's it's nothing to do with that.
Okay.
It's just that tactics style game. So I went back and started playing Dragonfall. Now, Dragonfall is exactly like I was saying. It's XCOM, Fire Emblem, whatever you want to call it. It's a tactics game, but it's a huge emphasis on like manipulating the environment and different ways to approach things. And if your charisma skill is high enough, you can talk your way out of a situation.
Okay.
Like it really is, in many ways, similar to like a CRPG like Baldur's Gate or Divinity. It's
cool.
in a lot of ways it's like that, but it's not as open.
Okay.
Like, I always say in Divinity, like, you can do anything. You can kill your main quest giver.
Right.
And like...
It's the same way. It's very much...
This is not that much like that, is what I was saying.
Okay.
But it's that same
But is it the same elements, though?
Yes.
Is it still like those sort of ramifications if you do something?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's more about dialogue-based ramifications rather than actions you can take in the world, right? So it'll be like... All right, you finish this mission and, you're talking to your team about what happened and, depending on what you chose to do at the end of the mission, there's a big choice. You have 3 different options. Some people might want to leave, be like, I don't like what you're doing. I'm done here, whatever. But it's just a really well-realized world. I'm only a few hours in, and as I get deeper into it, I'll talk more specifically about it. But I'm really, really enjoying it.
And the reason you got into it is because you just like harebrained schemes? That's how you...
Yeah, I like harebrained, and then, like I said, Waypoint did a 101 on it. So I was interested to go back into it.
Man.
So
and this came out
Shadowrun Dragonfall
2014?
came out in 2014. It was originally, I think, a downloadable content for Shadowrun Returns.
Okay.
And then they released it as a standalone. They kind of like redid it. It's director's cut. So I'm playing it on Steam. It was recently on sale, but I think it's like, even when it's not on sale, it's like $5 or $10 or something, like it's nothing. And it seems just like a really incredible game. The writing is great. Like right off the bat, I love all the characters that they've created. It's an interesting world where like it's a cyberpunky world, but there are elves and like trolls and stuff like that.
Cool.
But they're kind of, it like tackles how people react to certain races and how, what people are afraid of elves for and like stuff like that.
Gotcha.
It's really interesting. And like I said, as I get deeper into it, I'll want to talk more about it.
Awesome, man. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. Second game, another older one. This game actually came out last year, I believe. It's called Tooth and Tail. Came out September 12th, 2017, yes. So, this is a really interesting, unique game. It is an RTS, real-time strategy.
Okay.
Think StarCraft, something like that, Warcraft, whatever. Isometric, top-down, 3/4 view of you're controlling units. And the interesting thing is that in the actual gameplay of this game, in a normal RTS, you have control groups. You're like highlighting units, telling them to go here, telling them to do this. You're controlling like who you're building or whatever. The entire idea of this game is it's meant for consoles.
Okay.
So it's meant to be played on a controller. So they totally reworked the idea of what an RTS is. And instead, what you are is you're the commander, and you're basically a cursor. Like you run around the field of battle, and you have basically you get to tell your groups of units whether you want them to go to your location or if you want them to retreat.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. And so you're building up your forces. I'm going to talk about the story and the layout of it after the fact, but I just want to get the baseline idea of what the game is first because it is really unique. So what you'll do is you have a little base and you can build you'll have like a plot that you can make a piece of farmland on that'll give you higher production rate. And then once you start getting higher production rate, you can buy basically a barracks that'll spawn. It'll constantly, every whatever interval, it'll spawn a unit and take away a little bit of your resource.
Okay.
So you're building up armies over time, and then you are literally saying, I want my entire of this unit type. So it's like you have infantry and you have like long-range ballistics, right? So it's like I want all my infantry units to come to my location and start firing. And then you can cycle over to your ballistics and be like, I want all my long-range units to come to my location. And they'll just attack whoever's in the area.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's very scaled back. You're not telling very specific commands or anything. It's like, come here, and once they get within firing range, they'll start firing. Now, the point where it gets really interesting is in the outlinings of what this game is, because it's a very... oh, God, what's the name of the graphic novel with the mice?
Oh, Mouse.
Mouse. It's very much in that vein of you are literally controlling a mouse. Like a giant anthropomorphized rat. And the game's broken up into different
Oh, wow.
factions
Okay.
that you play as, and they all have their own story. So I'm only on the first guy's story right now. But it's a super, like, dour, like, depressing, like... The whole idea is there are... Like, the setup for the story is animals are food. And they're fighting to determine who is going to be the food and who is going to be the people eating. Like, it's a very Animal Farm style thing.
Yeah, it sounds like Watership Down, sort of.
Yeah, so the whole thing is you're fighting this war because you're like, if we don't kill them, then they're going to kill us and eat us.
And each character you play as a mouse.
So you play as your commander is a mouse, but you're commanding certain types of units. So starting out, you have a group of badgers that are like cannon. They shoot big old cannons. And you also have these little mice, or I forget what they are. There might be mice. They're just little infantry guys that shoot machine guns.
Wow.
But in between each mission is like 10 minutes long.
Okay.
Real short. But in between, you go back to your main base as the commander, and you basically like walk around and hit little points of interest that give you like flavor for the world. And so you'll talk to people, and they'll be like, rations are getting a little light, and it has no consequence on what you did or didn't do in the game. It's just a story being told that you're following through these missions. And now it's super interesting because it's very like Soviet, like very, it has a lot of specific, the music that's played in this is like very like oppressive, like communism. It really feels like
an Orwell, like some
yeah,
sort of like...
yeah. They're definitely going for that. And I'm going to show you a picture of what the gameplay looks like. It's some of the most beautiful pixel art I've ever seen in a game. It is so well done, and it's all 8-bit. Like this little fox thing here is not a part of the game, but this is. Like it's just so beautiful, like the pixel art, because it's all 8-bit looking pixel art, but it's like super detailed and well done. And I think this is a really unique and interesting game that I've never played anything like it. I don't love the gameplay.
How does that compare to other like tactics sort of games?
Well, yeah, this game, like I said, it's an RTS, so I'm not a huge RTS guy to begin with. Okay. I don't really like StarCraft. I don't really like, some of these other RTSs out there. That's just not my bag, really. So I'm not loving the gameplay, but it's obviously very simplified. And the interesting thing comes as you see more units and you get introduced to new characters.
Right.
There's a whole dynamic with pigs in this where pigs are like it's really messed up. I will tell you, like, the game is dark and really bad, but it's well done. And the pigs are like willing to be food. And they're the only animals that eat like grass and stuff. Everybody else eats meat. And they say all the time, like, we could have a better life if we just farmed and then do, like, what are you, crazy? Like, that's swine food. We don't eat that. Like, they don't eat, like, crops. They just make crops for the pigs to eat so that they can eat the pigs.
That's so weird.
Yes. And now the pigs won't fight. they just are like, all right, the interesting dynamic.
This makes me so sad.
But I'm curious to see where it's going to go, because I'll give you an example. You walk into this little area where the pigs are, and your mouse general walks in, and he comments on, because they asked for a checkerboard, the pigs, and the rest of the animals all view the pigs as like lesser beings because they think they don't have the intelligence to understand.
Okay. Like,
they actually literally believe that they don't understand what's going on, and that's why they're eating them. You know what I mean? So they're saying like, oh, why would they want to give themselves up to be food unless they really understood what's going on? So like it's like they kind of rationalize that they're giving themselves up to be eaten as like they don't have the capacity to understand that they're the ones out fighting, and then they come back and eat the pigs. So, but he walks into this room and he says, the pigs asked for a checkerboard for some reason. I think they like looking at it, or they like the pattern. It's like he's not realizing that they actually know what's going on. It's clear they're setting it up.
Right.
But like one is staring at a painting, and he's like, the mouse is like, oh, do you enjoy looking at that painting? Do you like its colors? And the pig's just like, yes, I enjoy it. Like, not wanting to say that they actually know what's going on in the painting. So it's interesting. Like, I don't know if they're just like...
there's going to be a pig revolution.
But it seems like they're... Like, I don't know yet if they're happy to be in the position they are, or if they're just...
Oh, there's going to be a pig
or
revolution.
if they're waiting in the wings.
Oh, man, I'm ready for this pig
But
revolution.
it's cool, man. That's why I'm saying I like this game way more for the story bits. And it's not very, like, explicit, the story. It's more like little conversations like that. They're literally like one dialogue box.
That's it.
And you're learning what's going on in between these sections. And I don't hate the gameplay. I just don't...
That's particularly jazzed
enjoy it, yeah. But it's a cool game.
I'm ready for this pig revolution.
It's really neat.
You gotta let me know when the pig revolution happens.
I will definitely keep you posted on the pig revolution.
But
that's Tooth and Tail. It came out initially on PlayStation 4, Xbox, and PC, I believe.
Any developer that I would know?
Let me take a look at that. Pocket Watch Games. So not too familiar with their work, but yeah. Wow, they were founded in 2005. What games did they make?
Yeah, I don't...
Oh, Monaco. That's the one. That's why I knew them. They made Monaco. It was an Xbox 360 downloadable game. That was pretty cool. It was about a heist. But yeah, so maybe it's not. Maybe it's just PlayStation 4 for
It's came out last year, huh?
Yeah. So I'm liking this game quite a bit for what it is. I think it's $15, $15, downloadable on PS4, PC. I'm playing it on PS4. It's a good game. I'm enjoying it.
I'll buy it if there's a pig revolution.
I'll let you know. So that's Tooth and Tail.
Cool.
Last game that I'm playing, I'll go through quick before we get to your last thing. I have started playing, so you remember my love for Divinity Original Sin.
I remember you love the Original Sin.
The original Sin.
You love the Original Sin. You're a big fan of that one. That particular sin.
Divinity Original Sin, the original, I did not have, I know I've said this story before, but I'll do it quick. I didn't have a good PC to play it. It only came out on PC originally. It did come to PS4 later as the enhanced edition. Mm-hmm. I played it on PS4 late last year, early this year, I think. Maybe late last year only.
No, I think, because I remember, was it Divinity Original Sin 2 came out in 2017?
Yes.
Because I remember we were talking about, I was like, is it Game of the Year? And you're like, oh, this is the first one.
Yeah. So the original, Divinity Original Sin 1, I played and fucking loved. This is CRPG, old school CRPG, roots in Baldur's Gate, mm-hmm. Planescape Torment, all those games. This is Divinity Original Sin 2, and it came out in 2017. I got this laptop late last year, and I thought about, okay, do I play it? Or I got it early this year, I think, the laptop, right? I was like, do I play it on my laptop, or I know it's coming to PS4 in September, so do I wait? So I waited for September. I'm playing it on PS4.
glad you waited.
It is exactly the game I want it to be because it's everything I love from Divinity Original Sin with a whole new cast of characters, bunch of new classes, new abilities, stuff like that. Same gameplay style, same everything I loved about it, same writing, cool side quests, awesome characters, like everything I enjoyed about the game. It's this with new stuff. So I'm really enjoying it. I don't know what game I'm looking for, but after Spider-Man, so I played a little bit of all these games that I talked about, and I'm kind of just like bouncing between them all.
Trying to find your next one.
But I like all of them. Like they're all great games. I just am not like getting super hooked by any of them. So I might put Original Sin 2 on the back burner because, again, it's a game that came out last year initially, so I definitely want to finish The Messenger before I jump into it. But highly recommend Divinity Original Sin 2. I am going to jump into Pillars of Eternity 2 at some point, which is another game in the same vein.
Right.
It did come out this year, though, so I do want to play it before Game of the Year time just to check it out. Now, I know you've been playing one more thing.
Yeah, just a quick, our old Blue Bomber, Mega Man 11 comes out October... Wait, where is he?
There he is. This handsome little boy.
He is. He's a cutie pie.
He's a lot older than he looks.
He's got beautiful blue eyes. Anyway, so Mega Man 11 I think comes out October 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Anyway, and I wasn't too thrilled like looking at the trailer and stuff like that. I was really disappointed with Mighty Number 9, and I don't know. So someone making a new Mega Man game, like, oh great. So they released a demo for it on the Switch. I don't know if they released the demo on other platforms, but definitely the Switch. You can only play one level. They only give you one level. One of the bosses, I forget the boss's name, which probably is a bad sign. Maybe it's. And you get to change between your regular Mega Man outfit and your two other outfits. Just kind of try out. There's one where you can turn like this electric guy, and then when you can be like a charge, sort of like you can kind of like push forward and break stuff in front of you.
That's similar. I think Mega Man 6 has something like that.
Maybe.
Remember, you could like smash a wall with a power suit.
Yeah, you can do it. Maybe that's what it's like. It has orange and black suit that you can. Anyway, I played it. It's actually really solid. Again, it was just one level of the game, but I wanted to get into it before if I'm going to actually spend the money and buy Mega Man 11. It's a really solid. It's really solid, like control wise, really solid. Like the controls are great. I think the reason why I'm not feeling it is that I don't like they have like voiceovers, like they have like Mega Man like talking and
like
stuff like
8,
that.
Right?
Yeah, and it's just like
yeah, I'm not a fan.
And then that's why I thought X got like really bad over time, like when they had like those like cutscenes that were just like so terrible, like just so over the top. So I didn't like that, and I don't know. I really like how when they redid Mega Man 9 and 10, how they kept it like to the 8-bit graphics. I really found like the charm in there, and that was I really really loved that. And maybe that's me just like having nostalgia goggles. But Mega Man 11, the demo at least, the level I played, very very solid control wise. But I just don't think it had the Mega Man charm that I was hoping for. So I'm not really sure I'm going to purchase the full game.
All right.
But,
well, I'm curious. Comes out next week, October 2nd.
October 2nd.
So, we'll see. I'm gonna wait and see on reviews on that because, again, like similar to you, I haven't even played the demo, but seeing some of the stuff, I just wasn't thrilled with the way it looked. Yeah. So we'll see.
Which it doesn't make it a bad game, but
definitely not.
I just I don't know.
All right. Well, that is what we've been playing. We have a decent amount of news to cover. I picked out some, obviously we're doing every other week now for the podcast, so a lot happens in between. I kind of picked out the big ones and things that personally for me I wanted to talk about. So we're going to start off with a dour one for sure. I am going to jump to an article on Kotaku. It's entitled, Telltale Employees Left Stunned by Company Closure, No Severance. So, That's the big thing, and that's what we're going to focus on. And
what the hell?
I want to talk about this from the company level first, and then I want to talk about our personal feelings about Telltale in general. All right, because I think there are too many people out there that are making this about them, and it's really upsetting because like there's a lot of people that got laid off with no severance and no notice.
Yeah.
There were people. There are anecdotes from people that got hired the previous week and then moved across the country and then lost their job with no severance, 9 days of insurance after that.
That's shitty.
I want to read a little bit of the article here. This is from Kotaku again. Ethan Gatch at Kotaku. Telltale Games employees were surprised when CEO Pete Hawley announced the closure of the company at a staff-wide meeting. One employee, a source told Kotaku, had been working until 3 a.m. the night before with no inkling that the studio was about to let them and over 200 other employees go, leaving behind a skeleton crew of 25 to finish off work on a final project. Let's see. Those laid off were encouraged to begin applying for unemployment as soon as possible and were told their health benefits would run out at the end of the month, just 9 days later, according to a source and to social media postings by ex-developers. They had 30 minutes to leave the building. The lack of severance, a detail that began circulating on Twitter shortly after the shutdown, was one of the bitterest details in a game studio collapse that had sparked outrage and sympathy among those who play and make games. Telltale had been around for more than a decade and was in the midst of rolling out a new episode of a signature series about The Walking Dead. Episode 2 of a planned for, literally was planned on releasing that week. Now, the thing where this gets especially interesting, and the reason that I think a change is coming in the industry is because a lot of now ex-Telltale employees came to Twitter, and I'm just going to read a couple of tweets.
Who was on Twitter?
A bunch of ex-Telltale employees.
Yeah. People that let go.
That were let go. So, former Telltale character artist Brandon Sabenka tweeted, "None of my sleepless nights or long hours on weekends trying to ship a game got me severance today." Another ex-employee said, "Don't work overtime unless you're paid for it. Protect your health. Companies don't care about you. All I want to do now is rest for a couple of days, but since we got no severance and our insurance expires at the end of the month, I don't have that luxury." So I just want to read a quick anecdote from the studio, and this isn't new news for the video game industry as a whole, and it's certainly not new news for Telltale. We have heard reports and little things here and there about conditions being really bad. I just want to read an anecdote from Emily Grace Buck, who was a lead designer on several Telltale games. She said, "It's true, we usually worked 50-plus hour weeks, sometimes 70 to 80. Weekends were often expected. We were constantly understaffed. Deadlines were ludicrously tight. Our schedules were so close, we went from one crunch directly into the other." So, what we're reading... So there's been an issue for a long time with video games in general. You hear discussion of the term crunch, right? So you hear, okay, we have 3 months before a game's supposed to ship. Guys, tell your families it's going to be crunch time. And so there's a lot of different ways to look at it, I'm sure. The only way I look at it is that mandatory overtime is unacceptable.
I think that's unethical.
Unless it's an emergency situation.
Unless you're a doctor, or
that's what I'm saying. An emergency situation, like a natural disaster, and you need to be somewhere. That's a different story. But what I'm talking about is a video game.
I love video games, but it's just video games. It's
so where I have an issue with it is the term crunch. So I'm very thankful to websites like Waypoint that want to write articles, and Kotaku actually, that want to write articles and bring this stuff to the forefront, because they know that that's how change is made. And it's been made throughout time when things are brought to light by the media, and then you have testimony of direct employees.
Right.
And in this case, you have many employees recently spurned by Telltale that are coming out and saying very specific things about their working conditions. And so there are two major issues here. Number one is, even while they worked there, they were expected 50-hour week is the norm. 70 to 80 is pretty regular. So right off the bat, you're talking about way too long of working hours.
Way too long, but then no severance pay or...
Yeah, so that's the second issue. I want to talk about the first issue first. People were, and something that we hear a lot is like, people want to work. So some people say, I stayed to work longer hours on this project because I have pride in my work, I want to get it done. But the problem with that is you're setting an example for your fellow employees in that circumstance, right? So if you're going in and working, you're saying, I'm going to pull a 14-hour day today, I just really want to get this done and get it right. Then now, not only are your people on your level looking at you and saying, shit, like, I guess I got to do that too. You're setting the wrong precedent. But your bosses are looking at that person and saying, wow, look at this person that wanted to do 14 hours. Then they can use that in a meeting and say, wow, I had this person that really wanted to stay. You know, maybe we should talk about other people, see if anyone else wants to stay.
And then it becomes the norm, and then it becomes acceptable, and anybody that complains about it
this is a major problem. And again, this is just number one because we're going to talk about the second part of it. But this is a major problem because there are no unions in the video game industry. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have very strong opinions about unions, one way or the other. But the reason that a union is important in a circumstance like this is because they have the power to negotiate for you when you don't have the power to negotiate for yourself. So if you're, I don't know how many times I've heard in my life, I want to work in video games. I want to be, whether it's a video game journalist, work at a video game company, whatever you want to do. And everyone says it's super hard because there are so many people like me that want that job, right?
It's all a bunch of freelancers, right?
If you're one of these people that's working at Telltale, not happy with your hours, number one, you're looking across the industry and seeing similar things.
Right. There's no...
So that's number one. Number two is you know that there are people right behind you ready to take your job. And when you are in that position where you're like, I guess I need to stay here, that is literally the perfect example of why you would want a union.
Because
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you don't have any better options, and nobody.
You don't have better options, and you don't have any power. You have zero power. That's what it is. You have zero power, and it's unacceptable behavior because you have these people that are in upper management positions that are taking advantage of these people.
Well, they're exploiting that because they know the dilemma that all their workers are in.
Yes.
So they're able to exploit that.
That's the problem.
They have the power.
And that's the reason that this change needs to be industry-wide, because I love the idea of you have certain companies that are like, hey, we make our employees go home at a certain time. We do this, we do that. That's great. And if you work in one of those companies and you're happy, I'm super happy for you. But someone hearing that anecdotally may look at that and say, wow, I wish I could work at that company. There's no openings though. And the 20 companies in San Francisco that I have that are available to me all do exactly the amount of hours that I do, and it's not cool. So that's the number one part where we're talking about specific working conditions while they were there. This is before the issue. This is before the layoffs.
Right, that was
this is before
norm.
Anything else.
7 to 8 hours a week was a norm.
That's a huge issue, and something has to change. We need unionization in this industry, and we need to make big changes because you hear things constantly. If you hear talks or transcripts from boardroom meetings or something like that, you're hearing these CEOs and upper management having discussions and saying, if the way we run the industry is why we're able to produce these games at such a pace, right? We may have to accept the fact that you're not going to get your Assassin's Creed game every year.
Right.
You're not going to get these games that are so incredibly polished to the umpteenth degree on the date that as soon as possible, as soon as we can get it. You know, you look at a team like Rockstar that's putting out Red Dead Redemption 2. We're all very excited for it. They're talking about fucking horse balls and that they change depending on the weather, and that they contract if you're in the snow, and if you're in the desert they sag lower. And it's like, I love what they're doing, and I'm borrowing this.
You like the horse balls?
No, but I'm borrowing this from the most recent episode of Waypoint Radio, because they were talking about this exact issue. And it's like, the attention to detail in these games is incredible.
Yes.
But think about the labor behind it. And that's something we don't do.
Nobody should have to work 70, 80 hours a week.
But what I'm saying is, we never think about that. Nobody's thinking about that on a whole. Nobody's saying, Spider-Man just came out, and it's so beautiful, it's so incredibly polished, that if a game comes out and it's not to that degree, everyone's up in arms about it. When really what we should be saying is, either give this team more time to make the game that they want to make without having this insane amount of pressure and time crunch, or accept that not all games are going to be like that, because you're looking at an industry that sets the standard so high because they're working these people to death.
And I have a feeling that 95% of people that have read these articles or seen this thing, the first thing that came to mind was, oh man, I really like The Walking Dead. I can't believe Telltale closed.
Yeah, and I want to get to that for sure, because I have a lot to say about that specifically.
And that's shit, because seriously, you got to think...
This is exactly why I said what we're talking about first is the company. And then we'll talk about everything else, because it's so unfair the way... I'll give you specific examples, too, that I've heard, and it's disgusting.
No, it's just shit. These are human beings, and nobody should be treated like that. And that just says, not just for video game industry, for most industries as a whole.
Definitely. Now...
They're going to call me a communist next, but...
Workers
of the world unite.
The second part of the issue that I want to talk about is the fact that this company was so mismanaged that because one investment company, or their major investment company, whoever, pulled funding, they had to shut down that day without giving anybody any notice, and you had to be out of the office in a half hour. I just cannot fathom. Imagine being in management in that company, and you're so
inundated with...
But you're not...
crap.
Why aren't you being transparent with your employees?
How does that happen, though? That's insane. To get to that point where, all right, we got... Oh, I shouldn't just snap. I know that code, but where...
What I'm saying is, the major problem that I have is, you're gonna tell me that they didn't fucking see any of this coming? Like, be transparent with your employees and let them know. Like, usually you would hear about companies being like, guys, like, have a meeting and be like, we're in trouble. We might not be here in a couple weeks. Like, get your stuff in order, start setting up resumes. Like, these people had no idea.
I can't believe it was day of.
And no severance.
That's so...
And...
The health insurance thing.
Health insurance up in
off.
9 days.
That is...
And as somebody without health insurance, that is a terrible, terrible position to be in. On so many levels, I have issues with this situation.
It's just absolutely wrong.
It's awful, and I'm so upset to hear it.
And then shame on the higher-ups for not even preparing for situations like this.
That's what I'm saying. The mismanagement that must go into this whole situation.
To not even have enough savings.
Not have any backup plan, not have anything.
Their employees who are making them, this insane amount of money.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
No, it's completely
Listen to this.
wrong.
This one's pretty rough. According to Buck, who we talked about earlier, at least one employee had joined Telltale only 1 week before the closure and had relocated across the country to do so. Another was a foreign national in the country on a work visa who must now leave within a few days. Right? So now we're talking about people that were working, thought that they were stable in their job, and now they have to leave the country.
Yeah, seriously, leaving their home.
So the CEO, Hawley, whatever his name is, it's let me find it. Pete Hawley.
What did he have to say?
So he said, I just wanted to talk about this briefly. Hawley blamed the studio's fate in part on recent seasons of The Walking Dead not meeting sales expectations, according to an anonymous source who spoke to Kotaku. Hawley echoed this sentiment in his public remarks later in the day, in which he said that though the studio had released some of its best games in 2018, that had not translated into adequate revenue. So again, what he is saying is they see this coming down the pipeline. They say throughout 2018, we're struggling.
Yeah, but if they knew, then first off, plan ahead. But like you said, be honest with your employees.
Yeah,
Don't.
It's nasty. The thing that bothers me.
It's so wrong.
Now, I want to jump to the games portion of it, okay? Because I wanted to really lead off with the most important stuff of the people affected and the change that needs to come in the industry.
And seriously, if you're going to complain about, you're not getting a new Telltale game, seriously.
So we'll talk.
People's lives are ruined
I got specific things to say about that, but the first thing I want to say is they had, and again, there were anecdotal things coming through that were saying nothing has been a good success, like a really strong success since the season 1 Walking Dead. And now, that was 2012.
Okay.
Since then, they have had the Game of Thrones license, Guardians of the Galaxy license, Minecraft license. Back to the Future. Well, I'm just talking about since Walking Dead. We got Game of Thrones, Minecraft, Guardians of the Galaxy, Batman.
Yeah.
And they were not turning enough of a profit to sustain that. And that is like, I understand that these are adventure games and not for everybody, but it's like,
there's no way
you cannot take on. The thing that bothers me is they took on so many projects and so many new employees because they had such success with The Walking Dead season 1. That they went out and got all these great licenses. Stranger Things was coming out. It was due out this year. Okay. Stranger Things is fucking huge. Yeah. It's a phenomenon. So it's like, this is a perfect example of they clearly did not, and again, I don't know anything about the inner workings of this company, but how do you have these licenses and not turn a profit? It's because you have too many spinning plates at once. It's like, They had too many employees for the projects that they're working on, and it just the thing that gets me is that it was so poorly managed throughout, and that no changes were made. Like you never want to hear about layoffs, but if it was like we're scaling back,
right?
We're gonna have to lay off 50 employees. We're gonna be 200. We're gonna take our time with these projects. Not work 70 hours a week, whatever. It's like, then you could at least be like, okay, that sucks, and I'm so sorry for those people, but that is a business reality, because that's how you manage an issue, rather than just one day
just wait for all the
225 people,
the sewage to just build up.
So I hate that personally. Of course, we're all upset. Anybody that's a fan of any Telltale games, we're all upset that we're not able to get those games anymore, because it would have been really interesting to see what they would have done with Stranger Things. I really enjoyed The Wolf Among Us. I was very much looking forward to season 2.
Right.
Now we can look at those and say, that sucks, because I really love those games and I would have bought those games. But that's the extent of it. That's where it begins and ends. I hate when people are saying, wow, this fucking sucks, I'm never getting this game that I really want. That's not your number one thing. You can feel that way because that's natural, but that's not the
real issue is that there's 200 people whose lives have been ruined by this.
One thing I want to say is I saw one person specifically make a post, I think it was on like a Steam forum or something, and he posted and said, if these people really cared about their games, they would finish working on these games for free.
Oh, shit.
That's what he said. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? What a piece of shit. But anyway, I don't want to harp too much on this. I just thought it was very important to talk about because I really, really want... I really think it's necessary and important for unionization to come to.
No, exactly. And not only that, it's up to us as consumers to really, choose who we support and what we buy, because when we buy these games by these companies, that's just in a way condoning
Yeah.
Terrible behavior.
And that's why. But the problem is.
And it's hard. I'm not saying I'm.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not saying I'm perfect.
I
I don't buy.
It's very hard because it's hard to get transparency in these companies, so it's hard to know what the inner workings are. Usually, it comes out after the fact, much like this. But I just think that there needs to be a system-wide restructuring of
for real
of the business practices.
Seriously,
I'm sick of hearing people working 80-hour weeks and
no, that's crap because
else.
You don't just get the games for free. People work to make these reality.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's it for Telltale. I hope everyone lands on their feet that got laid off, and we'll leave it at that for now. So got the sad stuff out of the way. We're gonna start talking about some happier stuff.
Fun.
We got the PlayStation 1 Mini, the PlayStation Classic, I think they're calling it.
That's cool.
Looks neat. We
all have the NES and the SNES.
It's a very obvious copycat of the NES Classic, Super NES Classic. But smart. Why wouldn't they copy it?
Yeah, no,
it makes sense. They only announced 4 games so far: Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer, Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. So 5 games so far out of the 20 that'll be on the console. Not thrilled with the 5 that they announced. I think Final Fantasy VII has to be on there, no matter what you think of it. It makes sense to have a Ridge Racer game on it because those were huge for the PS1, and I think R4 is the one. Tekken 3, totally see it. You gotta have a Tekken, and that's a good Tekken. Wild Arms, surprisingly on here, it's kind of like in my book, a mediocre JRPG. And Jumping Flash, which is not a good game, but it's a 3D platformer, and it was cool for the time. I wanted to play a fun little game. We're kind of running low we're running out of time, so what I wanted to do is just what would be our ideal PlayStation Classic.
Okay.
So instead of making a list of 20 each or whatever we wanted to do, why don't we just start throwing out games that must be on there?
Crash Bandicoot.
Symphony of the Night.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid's a good one. Ape Escape.
Tomb Raider. Just not because those games are good.
I hate Tomb Raider.
But like they're classic. They got to be on there. They're not good games.
I think you're right. It's got to be on there. I think Final Fantasy Tactics should be on there.
I think Resident Evil 1 should be on there. Was Resident Evil 1 on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So what are we at? 12?
12.
Yeah.
I can't think of any more.
That's most of them.
Those are the big ones.
Medieval, yeah. But you know what the problem is? I know there are certain games that are not coming on here, or if they are, it's fucking weird. Symphony of the Night just got re-released on PS4. Yeah, not remastered or anything. It's just available for download on PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing a Medieval remastered. Due out late this year or early next year or something. So it's like Crash Bandicoot, we just had the Insane Trilogy.
Yeah.
These games shouldn't be on here. So what the fuck are they going to put on here?
Yeah, those are the big games though. When I think of PlayStation 1, I think Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear, Crash, Symphony.
Those are the big ones.
See, a PlayStation 2 Classic I would buy in a heartbeat, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe they from Sly Cooper to Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean the library alone on PlayStation 2 is
oh my gosh, yeah.
But I really enjoy the PlayStation 1. I think there are a lot more games that could be on there that I would love. But
I can't think of any.
Yeah, I mean, I think we named the big ones that we really would want.
Metal Gear.
Yeah, you gotta think Metal Gear's gonna be on there, right?
I don't know though. It's just weird to think because I think of the NES and the SNES, and it's these smaller. Yeah. Actually, that's true. Final Fantasy was on there, so.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see. It's gonna be $100, coming out December 3rd, which is the 24th anniversary of the PS1's release, which makes me feel old as fuck.
Crap.
So yeah, similar to the old classics.
Yeah, you are old.
It'll be. It'll be all these games already preloaded onto it. Comes with 2 controllers. Yet to be determined how long the wire is because the goddamn NES is way too short. But Yeah, cool little thing. Again, I'm gonna wait and see what the games are before I plop down $100.
Purchase it.
But yeah, I thought that was a cool little thing.
Those are great ideas,
PlayStation
though.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right. Next, I have Nintendo Switch Online
Switch
has
Online.
been released. Have you been on it yet, Dan?
No.
I have not either. But basically, what it did is, for some reason, I'm not going to get too much into it. Cloud saves were not available, or still are not available unless you have Nintendo Switch Online, which is just fucking archaic.
I don't even know what the
Why does
cloud
Nintendo
is,
do
so.
this? Yeah, but if you want the reason you would want cloud saves is your Switch is a portable system.
Right, so you bring it on an airplane or something, or you bring it. Yeah.
Not only that, it's you lose that, everything's gone.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true.
Everything's gone.
That's true.
That's it.
Goodbye, games. Goodbye, Messenger.
Goodbye, everything.
Yeah.
It's just like so stupid that they wouldn't do that. The cool thing is it's super cheap. It's $20 for a year. It's like if you want to pay for
Yeah, but then $20 just to save. I don't know. Just
no,
do
that's not the only thing. That's the thing. So it also, what they did was for the first year and a half. Now the Switch has been out, right? Came out March 2017.
Yeah.
So for the first year and a half, they allowed you to play online with other people for free. They said right away, we're making an online system that's going to be paid. So for the first year and a half, play all your games online for free, and that's it. So now, what it's doing is now you can play Super Smash with your friends when it comes out in December. Now you can play Mario Kart with your friends with this $20 thing. Interesting thing that they do is they're doing an NES library. Okay, so it's starting out with 20 games, and then they're going to start building on it.
Cool.
So
Free.
with the
subscription.
Yes. So you get Balloon Fight, Baseball, Donkey Kong, Double Dragon, Dr. Mario, Excite Bike, Ghosts and Goblins, Gradius, Ice Climber, Ice Hockey, The Legend of Zelda, Mario Bros, Pro Wrestling, River City Ransom, Soccer, Super Mario Bros, Super Mario Bros 3, Tecmo Bowl, Tennis, and Yoshi. So, pretty good collection to start.
Yeah, not bad.
It's the fucking classics. That's what they do. Like, everyone knew Super Mario 3 and Super Mario was going to be on there. Legend of Zelda.
And the Mario Bros. That the 83 one?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's the one that's like the...
It's like, yeah, you play...
head-to-head.
Right.
Yeah,
And
they had it in All-Stars. Yeah. Yeah, good list. You probably have these games already in a fucking 1,000 different ways because, you can download them on your Wii eShop, your Wii U eShop, your 3DS.
Yeah, but I paid like $7 for each game.
Yeah, well, it's smart that they're doing it as a subscription service, but, you have other ways to play.
Right.
So, anyway, that's pretty much what this is doing for you. Just wanted to bring it up. It officially launched. I haven't been on it yet. You haven't been on it yet.
I have not.
I'll be getting it probably when Smash comes out because I don't really play a lot of online, but I plan on playing that with friends that are across the country. So, yeah, that's Nintendo Switch Online.
Not bad.
Next on the list, something really interesting.
Yeah, what's that all about?
PlayStation Now. I am going to talk to you about PlayStation Now. So you've been a PlayStation Now subscriber in the past, right?
Yes, I got rid of it though because I played all the games I wanted to play on it.
So, PlayStation Now used to be a list of PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2 games. They had a library that are available to stream.
It's like 500 games or something.
So you can go piecemeal. I want to play this game. You pay $4. You get the game for however long.
Right.
That's fine. Or you pay a monthly subscription. You have access to the whole library. Right? That's how it works.
Exactly.
So what they're doing now is super smart and way fucking overdue. They are making games on PlayStation Now downloadable to PlayStation 4.
Oh, awesome.
So instead of streaming, and it was a nightmare
Yeah,
to
because
stream.
man, if you had like a bad connection, you'd be in the middle of the most important part of the game and it would just crash on you.
So, yeah, it was brutal. Because, it would time out all the time. The connection speeds were super slow.
Yeah.
You would get artifacting all over the screen. Like, it was terrible. So Sony says almost all PS4 games already on PlayStation Now will be available to download. And then what they're also going to do is most PlayStation 2 games. Now, the problem with the PlayStation 3 games is they probably will have a lot of issues getting those downloadable because it's notoriously PlayStation 3, like the innards of the PlayStation 3.
I know, that's so frustrating, though. They barely have any PlayStation 3, like, titles. Like, they don't, cater to that.
Those PlayStation 3 titles that are on there, I know they had some Uncharted games. They had
Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, they had a few. They had Catherine. Those games are still going to be available for streaming, but they're not going to be available for download, which kind of sucks. But having PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 4 games for download, really cool idea.
Yeah.
You know, Xbox Game Pass already does this, so they're behind the 8 ball with it in general, but I think it's a really smart change, and I'm super happy that they're doing it.
Good job, PlayStation.
So, just wanted to talk about that quick, and that's pretty much it for the news. I wanted to talk about the Red Dead Redemption impressions. A lot of people got hands-on with it. We'll save that for another time.
All I can say is those horse balls.
Horse balls, man. Horse balls.
That's how we should end the episode. You can't really say anything more than that.
That's it. We'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much.
Shelby, thank you.
Shelby.
Everybody. Dan, thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Listen, everybody at home, take care of your horse balls.
Yeah, that's one way to end it. What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So catch us either place. Thanks. I mean, the truth of it is, if we're taking it through these, there's no way that's picked up.
Not at all. You never.
So make sure you ignore.
It never gets picked up. Yeah.
Don't react.
Could
to
get
it.
juicy.
All right. Ready? Good to go, Shelb?
Yeah, everything's going.
All right.
Yeah, I'm getting those stress pimples. For real.
This podcast job.
All right.
No, not from the podcast, just life. I'm so depressed. Anyway, what was that?
Go ahead, let it all out. We're only recording.
I'm just kidding.